If you have a German partner and you're about to meet the family for the first time, that moment can feel a little intimidating. Not just because you're meeting the parents, but because suddenly you're also dealing with a new language and a new culture. Questions start popping up like, what should I say? Should I even try speaking my broken or non-existent German, or just stick to English? But what if they can't speak English or are not comfortable with it? And what if I say the wrong thing? So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a simple beginner survival guide for that first meeting with your partner's parents. We'll cover a few important cultural nuances you should know, essential phrases that make a great first impression, and some practical questions and sentences that help keep the conversation going. So if you're learning German because of your relationship, this video will help you feel much more prepared. And if we haven't met yet, hallo und herzlich willkommen bei Speak Fluent German. My name is Salome. I'm a native German teacher and I specialize in helping absolute beginners, especially people relocating to Germany, Switzerland, or Austria, build real conversational confidence. And if you're just starting out, I've created a free beginner training where I walk you through the foundations that make speaking German much easier. Pronunciation, core sentence structures, and practical everyday phrases you can start using immediately. You'll find the link in the description box below. All right, let's talk about meeting your future German in-laws. Let's start with one cultural detail that can make a big difference, and that is understanding the difference between Sie and Du, which is the formal versus informal you. Because in German culture, how you address someone, especially your partner's parents, can set the tone for that entire first interaction. Now, it's not quite as strict as it used to be. Germans have become much more relaxed over the years, but depending on the age of your in-laws, there can still be certain expectations around how that first conversation happens. So in German, we have two ways of saying you. Du for the informal you and Sie for the formal you. And traditionally, when you meet someone older or someone you don't know well, you start with Sie. Now here is what happens very often. You start with Sie and then at some point they might say something like Wir können uns duzen, which means we can switch to du. That is essentially your invitation to become more informal. Another common signal is when they introduce themselves using just their first names. In many families, that already implies that using du is perfectly fine. And let me share a quick personal story here, just so you understand how serious and sometimes awkward the whole Sie versus du thing can be. My first relationship was many years ago, and my dad is very traditional when it comes to this rule. And in German culture, as I said, the older person is usually the one who offers the du. So my boyfriend at the time just kept addressing my dad with Sie out of respect because he never really offered it, and this went on for almost 2 years, I think. And then one Sunday afternoon we were all sitting in the living room playing Wii together. I think we were playing golf or something like that, and suddenly it felt completely absurd. They were casually playing video games together, but still my then boyfriend would address my dad with Sie. So finally I pulled my dad aside and said, don't you think we can drop the whole Sie thing now? I mean, we've been together for almost 2 years. And that was the moment my dad then turned to my boyfriend, shook his hand again and said, Ich glaube, wir können jetzt du sagen, which basically means, I think we can switch to du now. So yes, this rule can sometimes last a surprisingly long time. And as you can see, every family handles this a little differently. That's why starting with Sie is usually the safest option. It shows respect and you can always switch later. Or if you're very unsure, just ask your partner about how the family dynamics first. Maybe he also has some suggestions on whether you can immediately start with du or it would be safer to stick with Sie and let the parents offer the du to you. All right, now let's start with some practical phrases that work very well for that first interaction. And if you're watching this right now, try saying that sentence out loud at least once so you can also practice your pronunciation. Here is phrase number 1. Es freut mich, Sie kennenzulernen, which means nice to meet you. So repeat after me. Es freut mich, Sie kennenzulernen. Now, if you're meeting them at their house or they've invited you and your partner for, let's say, dinner, for example, you can say Danke für die Einladung, which means thank you for the invitation. Danke für die Einladung. It immediately shows appreciation. And it's a very common thing in Germany to bring a small gift when visiting someone's home for the first time, maybe chocolate or a bottle of wine or something special from your home country. And when you hand it to them, you can simply say, Das ist für Sie. That's for you. Das ist für Sie. And if they've already switched to du with you, you can just simply say, Das ist für dich. Das ist für dich. Or das ist für euch. If you want to address both of them, that is for you guys. Another very helpful sentence is Ich lerne noch Deutsch, meaning I'm still learning German. That sets expectations and usually makes people more relaxed and patient during the conversation. And if you're just starting out and want to reach conversational confidence faster, I'd love to invite you to my free beginner training where we cover pronunciation, core grammar structures, and practical phrases you can start using immediately. The link to register is in the description box below, and I would love to see you there. Now, once the conversation gets going, a few additional phrases can really help. For example, kann ich Ihnen etwas helfen? Kann ich Ihnen etwas helfen? If they have already switched to du, you would then say, kann ich dir etwas helfen? Kann ich dir etwas helfen? Another phrase that will almost always earn you points is, das Essen ist sehr lecker. Das Essen ist sehr lecker. And if someone speaks a little too fast, you can politely say, könnten Sie das bitte noch einmal sagen? Or in the informal you, that would be, kannst du das bitte noch einmal sagen? Now, one thing many people worry about in this situation is, what do I actually talk about? The good news is that German parents will usually keep the conversation quite simple. Typical topics might be where you are from, how you met their son or daughter, and you can leave that one up to your partner to answer if that's too complicated to explain in German. What you do for work, that one is a very important one that will come up almost every time. And how you like Germany so far, or Switzerland or Austria. And it's completely okay to keep your answers simple. Most parents will simply appreciate that you're making the effort to speak a little German. So let's look at a few examples you might hear. Woher kommst du? Meaning, where are you from? And here you could answer, for example, Ich komme aus den USA. Or Ich komme aus den Philippinen. Ich komme aus Kanada. So you would use the phrase and repeat after me here. Ich komme aus, and then add your country name. Another common question might be, was machst du beruflich? What do you do for work? Here you could answer things like, for example, ich arbeite als Lehrer. Ich arbeite als Ingenieur. So the very basic structure here is ich arbeite als, I work as, and then you plug in your profession. And another very typical question is, wie gefällt dir Deutschland? Or wie gefällt dir die Schweiz? Wie gefällt dir Österreich? And a very simple answer could be, Deutschland gefällt mir sehr gut. I really like Germany. Or you can simply answer with sehr gut. Even short answers like that are completely fine, because here's the good news. You really don't need perfect German to make a good impression when meeting your partner's family. What matters much more is being polite, showing interest, and making the effort to speak German, even if it's just a little. So a few phrases can go a very long way. If this video was helpful, let me know in the comments and tell me, have you already met your future German in-laws? And if you did the conversation happen in German or English or a mix of both? I would love to hear from you. And I'll be back next week with another lesson for you guys. Das ist alles für heute. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!